Um, Lily, tell me where you were born.
I was born in London in the hospital, and at about what was the time?
It was 5:59 in the morning on the 18th of April,
Okay.
2008. That's when
Yes,
you were
the
born.
year of the rat in Chinese zodiac year.
And April. So does that mean that you're an Aries? Do you know in terms of?
I think she's just coming up to the end of Taurus. I think April. So and then I think the 22nd of April is Aries. I think.
And I know that Chinese zodiac year I am a rat.
You're a rat. That's good.
Do you feel like any rat qualities? Does that pertain to you? I guess rats are smart and
Very smart. Well, you fit into a lot of things, and you're always everywhere, aren't you?
Yeah, and
Yes.
eating things.
Yeah. So.
and now you're in Holland. So how did you move from England to Holland?
Well, it was in 2014, December 21st, and we did take the plane to the Netherlands, but me and my brother we went first because my dad and my mom they had to pack everything and they had to pack all the dogs and cats and fish and turtles
And
to come with
hamsters.
us.
Yes, we had a
hamster.
car full of animals to bring. But
Yes.
Lily's father lives in Holland, and we were living in England because Lily has an older brother, John Henry, and he was finishing his education. So I decided to stay till he was at university, and then we came to Holland.
Yeah.
And Grandpa is also in Holland, so that's very, very
Yes.
nice. Grandpa's a very big part of Lily's life.
So
And he makes the best potatoes in the world.
and how is your Dutch, you two?
Oh, it's good.
Yes, we can speak Dutch well.
Yeah.
I think so. I was there when I was a teenager, from when I was 12 to when I was 19. Then I moved to England and went to university. And then my parents retired to Holland, so we were always back and forth.
I see. And Lily, what's the comparison between schools in London and schools where you are now? Is there any difference or not really?
Well, there is a bit of a difference, is because usually schools in England or London, they're usually incredibly large, and they have canteens or cafeterias and
School uniform.
Yeah, and they've got school uniforms. I was just about to mention that. Did you read my mind? And they've also got uniforms, but the differences in the Netherlands is they always have their own lunches and usually wear t-shirts or what they want to wear to school, and they usually the buildings are not that big, but they are reasonably big.
Yeah.
And in the province where we live, Utrecht, the schools are usually quite near to the forests.
Yeah, that's where we are. But also Wednesday is always half day of school in Holland.
But in my school, it's just completely free.
Yeah, and some schools have only 4 days of school. So.
Yeah.
And are you learning the same kind of material, the same subjects? Is there any difference in the academic approaches or not?
Well, in England, once you're done with elementary school, junior school, then you're instantly in high school. But in the Netherlands, and once you're done with junior school, then you go to middle school, and then you go to high school.
That's it.
Mm.
But also the junior schools, they follow a sort of book curriculum, whereas in England, the teacher is more proactive in subjects, and you can probably explore just a little bit further your ideas, whereas the experience that I saw with Lily in the first school she was at was a bit more traditional, and they had to stick with what the subject was in the book.
Yeah.
That was the differences that we saw.
Mm. And the Netherlands often is near the top in when they measure happiness in different countries. The Dutch people are really happy. Have you noticed that? And if so, do you think it's because everything is secure? You don't have to worry about where your food or shelter is going to come from, or what?
No, I think you have a happy life, don't you? You have a very happy life.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of outdoors. I mean, everyone is on a bicycle. There's a lot of fresh air. There's a lot of doing. There's also a very good work-family balance, because some people, they don't all work full time. I remember once we visited the World Wildlife Fund, and most of the people there, they only work part-time so they can be home for their children. And you saw that's sort of the priority. It's a bit like this Wednesday, only working half a day. Only the children only go to school for half a day. Then the second half, there's very good out of school care for people who work, and I think also employment rules, all of this sort of thing. You know, everyone's rights are cared for. So yes, I think it's a very happy place.
It's very human. It's the way it should be everywhere, but unfortunately,
I think so.
Yeah. In school, Lily, do they talk about climate change and environmental issues? Do they have school gardens? Do they recycle their garbage in the cafeteria?
Well, at school we do have a recycle thing, and it's a piece of cardboard, and that's where we put all of banana skins, orange skins, and where we put all the rest of vegetables and fruits. And
Plastic recycling.
yeah, and we also care a lot for all of the trees and for all of and for the field and for the forest that is very close to the school.
And you celebrate, and they celebrate. Was it Samhain?
No, Samhain. Samhain, the traditional. Did you say Samhain?
No, Samhain.
Yeah, Samhain, and it's the traditional Celtic New Year, and it was also people say it's the inspiration for Halloween because it's the day when the worlds of the elves and the worlds of the afterlife sort of seep into our world, which is why they also leave out offerings for the ghosts and for the elves. Yeah. Yeah, my friends heard that the elves were also coming into our world. Then we were all very excited because we all watched the Dragon Prince on Netflix. It's really like fantasy at school.
I think they're probably pretty angry at what we're doing to their environment.
I think so.
The poor nature spirits. Lily, your generation is pretty unique. I know of other young people who started doing environmental work when they were 10 or 9. I'm thinking of the climate change leader in Colorado with the Aztec name that I can't pronounce. There was another little boy who started when he was 10 a program to send food home in backpacks to kids over the weekend so they'd have food. So I'm wondering what you think about your generation Alpha, you're called. Why are you empowered in this way to speak up about these kind of problems?
I would say it's because the older generation had destroyed the thing that gave them life thousands and even millions of years ago, and now it's time to take that world back, because if we start to destroy this world further, then the next generation and the next will have nothing left. We'll have nothing left to benefit from this planet, because the planet has given everything we need to us. They have given us air, they have given us food, they have given us water, they have given us our families.
Yes,
Thank
you very much.
And so we need to protect this planet with everything we've got, because if this planet goes, so do we. And I do not want this planet to go, because this is the only planet in our galaxy that I know that grows potatoes.
Yeah.
I've seen in climate marches, there's no planet B.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think that social media makes the difference, because young people know about these kind of issues in a way that an earlier generation may not have been? They didn't see videos of islands being inundated by seawater rise, or it wasn't so visual.
I would say kind of yes, because that's also how more people know about my initiative, because we post pictures of my school strikes and my pickers on social media.
I mean, it's very instant, isn't it? It's sort of 24 hours a day rolling news, whereas before it would come possibly on the newspaper, the evening newspaper, we would hear something, or we'd have to watch the television. But I think if people want to see something straight away, for instance, like we had something with the fires in the Amazon, we were sent a video, we posted it, and it was seen 6 million times.
Right.
I mean, this sort of impact that you would get is quite incredible. Lilly actually had a visit from the leaders of the Amazon. They made her one of their tribe.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
And now this bracelet shall be binding to me forever.
No, they came to Europe to do a tour of 12 countries
And 18 cities.
and 18 cities to tell the tales of what's happening in the Amazon with Bolsonaro and the deforestation and strangely, well, it was very sad. The day after we met the leaders, there was the news that one forest guardian had been murdered by illegal loggers. So the story really resonated and hit home that this had happened. But these sorts of stories, because you have social media and the power that it brings, yes, exactly. But then there's also a counter argument to this that as a parent, maybe I can explain to you a bit later on with social media and young activists. So,
Well, the counter argument is, at least in the States, there's increasing amount of anxiety and depression, especially among girls.
That is also that's true. Oh, my story really was that any parent who has an activist should also have access to all their social media to make sure that they're protected and safe, simply because of the people who deny the climate. You know, there's an awful lot of money out there. Last year when we were here in Curacao, Lilly supports all climate strikers. It was just before the major climate strike in Australia, and the Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison told all the climate strikers to go back to school, and Lilly made a video about this, and it went viral in Australia, and the next day every device we had blew up. We had like a really deep web hack, and since then we have to go through a VPN. There's a climate scientist who's helped me to protect Lilly's social media by reverse following. There's a lot of people, you can see that you have these bots that come just to check, and to see exactly what's being posted, just so that her social media is safe. And that's my job really, as a mother and as a sort of protector in a way. I am.
What kind of comments do those social media attackers say? They say,
well, Lilly, luckily I get to them before Lilly, but we have everything, unfortunately, goes straight down to the base that either they say that don't you realize that plants need CO2, or aren't you stupid, go back to school, because sometimes obviously Dutch is not Lily's first language, it's her second language, and possibly she might make a grammatical error somewhere. Then we have all these people saying, oh, go back to school, you can't even speak Dutch. And unfortunately, it also goes to the very base of the fact that people bring in Nazism to this and say that it's Hitler Youth. Lilly, they say Lily's worse than Goebbels, believe it or not. You don't know that.
what's the connection? I don't get it.
No, exactly. There is a. I mean, I can send you some of these because I screenshot everything and we have a separate file because I think she needs protecting. We've heard from other female activists who have similar things. That worse things have been sent to us, which I can't really talk about now, clearly present, but I can tell you later. But it's just incredible. The amount, you think this beautiful child who stands up in front of 40,000 people at a climate march to tell them to find their green heart, to tell them, we need to protect this planet. And then I come home and I've got 100 nasty messages, also to myself, that people tell me I'm abusing her as a parent and pushing her because I want fame. But it's nothing to do with me. I'm just here, and I follow her. And I take her to where she has to go because people want to listen to what she has to say, And
speaking of which, after we're done from visiting Curacao, which is where we are right now, then we're going to Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt.
Because Lily's going to speak to some heads of state about climate change and about plastic pollution. Because
Lily.
people want to hear her, It's and of course we saw the Plastic Pollution Coalition in Rome, and she spoke there also at Youth Mundus. Yes, so but it's incredible that you have to have this. I don't know, this bullying, and I don't know if people, especially Twitter is particularly bad, I have to say. She was just on television 2 days ago, and we have 300 messages of horrible comments, But I mean, countering that, there's also 300 messages of good comments as well. But it's just bullying behaviour, and people who just don't understand. They say, why do you allow her to go and sit on a wall? But, that's the climate strike. That people don't seem to see further than what they see. So in a way, our advice is they say don't read the comments. Luckily,
Yeah.
I have something called a tweet deck, so I see everything as it comes in, so I can block, and I just file it away, so she never gets to see any of this. So her whole existence is happy.
I've got a few watercolor art supplies.
Yes. So
That's it. That's important to know that there's that kind of hostility out there. I think that's a good message, a warning.
I did an interview with BuzzFeed News, and they said to me, "Do you want us to mention your name?" And I said, "Yes." To me, I think this story, people need to know what's happening to these children who are trying to save the world. And I've had many other parents of activists who've had similar terrible things happen, and they don't know how to protect their children, who've sent me messages saying, "Please help us." So in a way, speaking out for me, I'm helping other people as well. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
So Lily, how did you get interested in cleaning up plastic? What was the impetus?
Sort of happened in 2015 when me and my grandpa, we were just walking to McDonald's because we thought that would be a nice idea for a Wednesday. So we were just walking, and then I noticed something. There was a piece of plastic. Didn't really think too much of it, so I just kept on walking. But then, as I noticed, there was more and more and more the further we started to walk. So then we thought we should pick it all up once we on our way back. So then we were counting all of these pieces of plastic, and this walk was only 15, 20 or 10 minutes long, and we counted 91 pieces of plastic in only that short amount of time.
Was this along the road or along the ocean, or were you?
This was
This is a footpath and a cycleway. Yes, so it was near where we live in Holland.
Yes.
So she counted 91 pieces that people had just chucked on the road as they walked.
And that was only the visible stuff.
Yeah. And then what happened?
And then my grandpa, he told me that anything that anyone will throw on the ground will somehow make its way into the ocean. Might take a day, a week, a month, even a whole year to somehow make its way into the ocean and into the plastic soup. As we all know, it's not chicken soup, noodle soup, as not the soup you want to drink, even if you put it in a pot.
Right. And so then you started picking up plastic, and then how did your activism evolve from that? What happened next?
Well then we put it all in a bag, and then we took a picture of it, and then we sent it to my mum, and then she posted that on social media, and then we did another pickup, but then we sorted it into groups, all the pieces of plastic, so cans go with cans, bottles go with bottles, etc. Then we take pictures of that and post them on social media, and then that was sort of how it started.
And then the local media came, and then the national media came.
And then very early in the morning, this radio station called Q Music called us, and that was sort of, was that my first live?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, and then my grandpa, he made a joke that next thing you know, the TV is going to come. Funny thing was, he actually did.
It came at 1 o'clock, it's true.
Yeah.
And then after that, people started wanting to make videos of her. And then that's when you got introduced to, that's when we got in touch with Diane, or Diane got in touch with you from Plastic Pollution Coalition. And then you had a Skype, and they asked you to be youth ambassador. And that was 2 years ago.
Oh, and the 4 hours. Even though now it's 5 hours. And it was and the 4 and 5 hours are recycle, renew, reuse, refuse, and refill, which is what we just did now, because I like water.
Well, refuse single-use plastic was the one that you sort of spread awareness of for the last 2 years. And then when we saw Diana at Youth Mundus, she said the 5th R is refill. Yeah. So everyone should have a refill bottle, isn't it? That was what we were.
That's what we always bring when we travel.
That's right. It's true.
And then, where is the Plastic Coalition headquartered?
I think that's in. It's in California. I think. Yes, it is.
Where you went out? That's nice.
Yes.
So,
I'll have to look for it.
Yes.
And then, Lily, when you speak in front of a large group of grown-ups, you're not nervous?
Not really. No.
No, you said to me her very first interview. I was at work and I couldn't be there, and I said she was on TV, and I said are you nervous? Are you going to be okay? And she said, well, not really, a bit. She said, but I'm doing it for the planet and the animals, so it's going to be okay. And then after that, you were fine, weren't you?
And does your brother care about the environment, and is he an activist like you?
John Henry, I think he cares about. He's very much into Star Wars. I suppose that's his only activism, really. And but I was an activist. We tried to stop a wood burning plant in the wood behind our house, and that was when I first moved to Holland. And so that was the.
And every single time we turned on the TV, you were on TV, and then we were always again. It was still good. It was still good.
Thanks very much. And so that was for our. I did that really for our health and for our neighbourhood and where we live.
Yeah, because if they started to burn this wood, then it would burn into fine stuff, which is very fine dust, and it's incredibly small, and it can sometimes cause lung cancer or other such deadly diseases.
Yeah, we didn't want people to be sick, did we?
Especially in our
Greta Thunberg is kind of our hero, our leader, and you were influenced by her as well, right?
Well, how did it start with Greta?
Greta was sort of my inspiration for to stand against climate change.
And how did that begin?
And it began in 2018 on September 21st.
That was your first strike, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that was when I watched the video, so I was watching a video on my mum's iPad, the one we are currently using to Skype for the Skype, and I was watching a video of Greta Thunberg, and she was talking about future generations, climate change, politicians, world leaders, and Paris Agreement, and all elements of climate change, and then I just thought, I have to do this, I have to support this. So then the same Friday in that week, that was my first ever school strike. But when I was doing my school strike, people just saw this is just a girl sitting on a stone bench, and why is she missing school? She must go back to school.
That's true.
And people just saw it as like this tiny little stamp on a newspaper. Yeah. And so then I thought to myself, what if I was a footballer? And then I just thought, People would then say, "Oh my gosh, this is so great!" But because with the environment, people just think, "Eh."
Yeah, people don't support it so much, but everyone else supports you. There's people all over the world who support you. Well, and then we met.
So, you started the school strike at your school, or how did?
Well, it was outside the town hall. That was what the call is. The call from Greta was that everyone should strike outside the place of government or a town hall, or I mean, you can strike anywhere. I mean, she's striking on the boat now. I mean, wherever you are, you can have a school strike. I mean, you need to be brave also to be a school, which is why it's important. I think. I mean, every picture of Lily, she looks like she's by herself, but I'm somewhere just floating.
She's the one who's taking the picture.
Yeah, I'm floating in the background.
Supportive background person.
That's right. So that's important. And so it was every Friday, 9 till 10. Lily strikes outside the town hall, and then we had lots of messages with Greta, and then she came to Holland 3 weeks after Lily's first school strike, and then you had a strike with Greta. Yeah. And then what did you ask her? And
I asked her, what do you think are the worst elements of climate change out of deforestation, melting ice caps, rising sea levels, and other elements of climate change? And she said all of them, because we can't let climate change reach its peak of power. And the peak of power is sort of when climate change becomes like too powerful to stop. It becomes the ultimate supervillain, and you can't stop it because you can't do Back to the Future, because that was a film and it was in the 80s, and you can't build a time machine and go back because you can't undo what humanity has done. So we must stop what humanity has done now.
And listen to the science, isn't it? It's true. So that was that. And then they had a tour around the Dutch Parliament. They talked about all sorts of things. They even talked about how you do hair, like in Sweden. The what was it called? The Mia Filter? The one
I don't know.
Yeah, because the one with
because I don't want to risk pronouncing
it wrong. So they all had their braids. Yes, but so you do your hair, and you put your hair like that. That was right. That was what you talked about, wasn't it?
Oh, you mean you put the braids on top of your head, 2 braids?
Yes, that's it, like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's got a very special name. And so they talked about that, and they talked about how do you know, what's the best thing to do when you school strike? Because Greta has a special mat that she brings that she sits on, and we talked about that, and it was all sorts of things, wasn't it? Yes, and then we went to Brussels, and there was a rally outside the European Parliament for climate change, wasn't it? And you banged on a drum.
Yeah, and they also brought with them some nice vegetables and some paste.
Yeah,
It tasted nice.
Lily, do other students join you on the school strike on Friday morning, or is it just you?
Well, not really, because in the Netherlands the education rules are quite strict, and if you do school striking without permission, then
your parents can get a big fine.
Yeah,
and you can go to court. But we arranged it with her school that as a sort of project that she was allowed to sit outside the town hall for an hour on a Friday.
But it's just Lily. It's just you.
Sort of, and my mum and
some
other supporters.
Jan and Gio and Frank. That we have maybe a core of about 5 or 6, and then sometimes other people who are passing through, and we have climate scientists who come to have a chat with Lily, reporters, the leaders from the Amazon came. We had some human rights lawyers who came once. That was Jan
and also
Frank from the movie. Greenpeace all came.
Yes, and also the organisers for Eyes on the Earth as well.
That was right, Eyes on the Earth, they came, yes, because Lee was asked to speak at a climate change roadshow. They came to visit you. Yes, so she has visitors all the time, so which is very nice. And also the Burgermeister came, our mayor came to sit with her, and he told her how proud he was of her. And he said Lily was the teacher, and he also, what he said was very, very nice, was he said that the town hall is the house of democracy for where we live, and because Lily is a child of democracy, she's allowed to sit there. So anyone who criticises us, really that helped shoo it all, shoo it all away. So he was a real supporter of her. And also the leader of the Green Party came from Jesse Klaver.
Yes.
He came to sit with you and support you, didn't he? So that was really also very, very nice.
You're also a child ambassador for How Global. What is that?
Yes. It's because they're talking about the life straw and also ways how you can how they can make it biodegradable.
Water for forgotten children. It was run by Rachel Paulson, who was and she was given the highest honour from the UN as a sort of water ambassador, and so it's her projects that bring water to forgotten children in Haiti, and India and Africa. They did a project with an albino school which didn't have fresh water because the albino children have to be protected simply because they're albino, and it's dangerous for them in Africa. And there's also a beehive project.
And why it's called Project Beehive, and it's to protect elephants from being killed by villagers, because when the elephants eat the crops of the villagers, that's sort of the only way how they can survive. So then unfortunately the villagers kill the elephants, but they found a way how they can protect the elephants. So they started to put beehives all around the crops of the villages. So then the elephants can find something else to eat. But Jane Goodall, she explained to me why. Because bees, they seek moisture. There's a lot of moisture in the trunk of an elephant, and you do not want any bees in the trunk. No.
And
so the elephants were deterred by fear of being bitten by the bees.
Yes, by the bees. Yes.
Oh, that's smart. And then the villagers can use the honey.
Yes. The pollination of the bees as well.
Yeah, the pollination of the bees for the crops. So it's all a big, lovely circle of goodness in a way. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. That would be so easy. Just put beehives all around the crops. That's brilliant. I love it. What about your youth ambassador for plastic? What kind of work do you do for the Plastic Coalition?
Well, we spread awareness about refuse, and even though we don't, do we have the sets with us right now?
There might be one straw, but you can tell about
There
the
is,
refuse. No,
okay,
just sit here and just tell about the refuse.
And the refuse is sort of for people to refuse single-use plastic because it's in the name, single-use plastic, because you only use it like once, and then after that you throw it away. So then we found a way how to stop
to
this.
help know how to help people to refuse.
Well, we don't have the entire set, but we do have one thing of it.
Yeah.
So the first thing we have it is the spork. Half spoon, half fork. So you can take it everywhere, so you can say no single-use plastic. The spork, but straws included.
Yes, we don't quite have the spork. So she has a set with the spork and 2 bamboo
and
straws
and a cleaner for
and a cleaner, and she gives this to people who have an interview with her.
So do you?
Yes, and Jane Goodall has had one.
Yes.
Afro Shah has had one. We gave one to the Prime Minister of Curacao. Although he couldn't quite get the 4 R's, he kept saying, Lily, can you tell me again? Refuse, recycle, renew, tell me what? And it's but anyway, but he's banned plastic straws from the Curacao Parliament now, which is very, very good. She's given it to some of the politicians that we meet, which is very good. And she has also done a campaign with the World Wildlife Fund to have cafes and restaurants stocked with plastic straws.
Maybe we can send it to you.
Yes, and there was an advert for that. So lots of restaurants have this logo, which is endorsed by Lilly and by the World Wildlife Fund.
So do you think we can mention something? And the first cafe or restaurant that has then banned their single-use plastic or has then the poster of no straws is called Salmon, and it's a restaurant that we really like, and they make very nice food, and they sell these straws.
They
on
also
the market.
sell your straws. Yeah, they do. Yeah, so it's really all about spreading awareness to people, isn't it? And doing it that way. And Lily was invited to marine litter conferences to talk about and also the Plastic Whale Conference in Norway. There was a whale that ate 30 plastic bags and unfortunately died. What happens with animals when they eat plastic?
Well, what happens to animals once they eat plastic is that it makes them feel full. So then they just don't eat again, and then they unfortunately starve. But that must be really, really sad, not being able to eat. That must be a bit sad.
There's a Dutch student who he must be out of college now, who invented a way to gather up the plastic from the ocean.
That's Boyan. Boyan Slat. Yes, he had the ocean cleanup, and now we have something called the Interceptor. And so and I think that they can be remotely positioned in rivers. I think it's all also about having to stop plastic at source as well. I think that there's just been a new ban passed for black plastic because you can't recycle that at all.
Yeah, they banned that for Christmas, so that's something good for Christmas.
So that's in
it was banned in Holland, in the Netherlands.
In England, Sainsbury's, Waitrose, I think the shops in England and Tesco's have banned this black plastic.
Which is good.
Is it like frozen food comes in the black plastic?
Yes, I think it is, and also ready-made food like lasagna that you can put in the oven because I think it holds its form, and then once you've dished it out, you throw it away. But unfortunately, you can't recycle it.
Oh, that's good to know.
And the thing is people who think you can recycle it and put it in the recycling bin, once it goes to the recycling station, a whole bale of recycled plastic can be rejected because it has this stuff inside it. And then that will then go to landfill, and that's when and then as it starts to break down, that releases gases, and then that also starts with greenhouse effects. So that's why recycling and sorting is so important.
Lily, what are 3 words to describe you as a person for someone who doesn't know you?
I would say is intelligent, creative, and
what did you say?
And brave.
And brave.
And what gives you that courage to speak in front of large groups and to speak out on social media? Where do you think that comes from?
I would say it comes from my green heart, my brain, and my heart.
And your heart, okay.
And just myself.
Do you want to explain about your green heart?
Oh yeah, and the green heart, that's sort of the embodiment of the bond of a human and nature. But as you can look in history, humanity has kind of lost that green heart. But I still believe that some of the lucky few humans still have their green heart. I can spread that magic of their green heart to other people. They can spread that through positivity.
And then they get their bond with nature, don't they? So,
yes.
But that's what you try to do with grown-ups, isn't it?
And when you think about your classmates at school, roughly what percentage would you say have a green heart?
At your school, maybe all of them.
I would say all of them.
Yes.
Oh.
I think that
because it's because all of them have a certain passion for a certain animal or for a certain thing of nature. Because one of my friends likes Pokemon, one of my friends likes dragons, one of my friends likes pandas and frogs, one of my friends likes other creatures like
other creatures.
So like just other creatures like honorable mentions.
Do you fly airplanes? I know Greta won't fly because it's the environmental impact.
Wait, can I
Don't you think you can speak about flying?
Well, sometimes you have to, like if you have to go across the Atlantic or across the Pacific, then I think you might have to use a plane because if you might use an alternative, then that might take a tiny bit too long. But
What did Chad say to you?
Chad Frischman, who's the founder of Jordan Academy, and he's the writer of a book called 101 Solutions to Climate Change, and he says that sometimes it is okay to fly because only 2% of climate change comes from aeroplanes. And sometimes also you just have to fly sometimes.
But also he also said to her that all the good that you do, well, it compensates. And obviously, you know, we're in Curacao, and we did fly here, but we did also pay our CO2 emission. And Lilly will do a lot of good here. We're going to help with the sea turtles. We're going to go and do some plastic work. We're going to go and help plant mangroves. You know, so I think that's.
It balances out.
Balances itself out. And we also spoke with the vice president of the IPCC about flying, and he also said, you know, if you don't have to fly, then don't fly. He said, and don't fly business class ever. Well, not that we will ever do that. But he also said sometimes you just have to fly. So you know, we don't do things like this every single day. So I mean, you know, there is a balance.
Right.
So.
The greater good over the lessers. Yeah. I agree with that.
I think so. There's a huge amount of, you know, of flight shame, shall we call it? But you know, I don't want Lilly to feel that, because I feel that well, as a family, we feel that what she does is she does an awful lot of good. So we do our best for, you know, and the rest of the time when we're in Europe, we're going by train. We went to Strasbourg, the Parliament by train, you know. So we
and we're also going to take and also in Norway we're going to take the train from Bergen to Oslo.
Yeah, so you know, I think that, you know, so it balances itself out.
Right.
And there was an interesting fact when we did go to Strasbourg. It was for the climate debate at the European Parliament.
Can I tell the story?
You can tell the story about that.
And once the debate finally came, only 28 politicians came in a room that had 751 seats.
That's right.
And can I mention the thing about the clapping?
Yeah.
As well?
What did you say about that? Eickhout.
And Bas Eickhout, who is a Dutch politician, and he said something that I really liked in his speech, and he said, if climate change was a bank, it would have been saved by now. But that actually was true, because there was this bank in Italy that was about to go bankrupt, and in Germany they did everything in their power to stop that from happening. But people should do that for the climate as well.
Absolutely. Why do you think that girls are in the forefront? They are in the States. They are in Europe. Why do you think girls are the leaders, not boys?
It's because it's sort of because I think that females also have their green heart, because thousands of years ago it was females that had one of the largest connections with nature, and also we get the job done with environmentalism as well.
Why do you think you get the job done? I mean, why more?
Picking up plastic and doing school strikes as well.
Yes. Well, why do you think you'd get the job done? I think because they just don't take no for an answer. I think that's what it is.
And we've got empowerment.
You have got empowerment. Yeah. And I think once you have a good, you've got a strong, support network around you, that is also very, very important for them.
Female rights matter.
It's true. I think it's very interesting to the concept, the fact that it is all girls, and when you see them all together and they all support each other, they have this sort of hashtag of sister strikers. It is a sister sort of striking movement. They all support each other. It's all just sitting out there in the snow and in the rain. I mean, that's not fun, but they do it because it's a passion and they want to get attention.
Yeah.
Because you have a blanket and some hot chocolate, and when it was snow, it's not the easiest thing in the world,
So the second wave of the feminist movement, the women's movement, started in the 1960s, and I'm wondering if you're kind of like the grandchild of the women's movement. What do you think about feminism?
Feminism.
I think that what feminism means to me is because all females have their rights to protect female rights and to protect females and girls who are in third world countries, because females have just rights as other genders, because all humans have rights.
It's true.
Because we are all the same. We're all sisini sawa, and that means we're all the same in Swahili.
It's true. When we were with Youth Mundus, there was a female panel with Right Girl, with Women Occupy Hollywood. You had some ladies from the Lebanon. They were all sat there. They all spoke about their rights, their stories, and about being equal. Protecting each other. Because we're very lucky in some of the parts of the world that we live in that we're allowed to go out and drive and vote and do all these sorts of things. But there's an awful lot of countries that you're not even allowed to do that. I mean, Women Occupy Hollywood. The lady was telling us that actually women's rights in America, they were never ratified. And so, I think she needed to have 38 states.
Oh, it's the Equal Rights Amendment. Yes. The amendment hasn't been ratified. Yes.
And so that's why most days she's out walking the streets in Hollywood, protesting that this is something that should be done. She's a director and a producer out there, so she feels this very, very deeply. So it really was an inspiring conversation to hear her giving her time, everyone giving their time to this sort of thing. We were on the edge of our seats, really. It was wonderful.
Well, and there's a person who inspires, what female figure inspires them the most? Oh, and sorry for cutting you off. Sorry.
No, you're good.
But the interesting thing was the women that they said that inspired them the most were grandmas
and the sisters.
Yeah, and that was the there was a lady from Uganda, and she said she became a feminist when she was 13 because she was with her grandmother who died when she was 106, and her grandmother always sat on the floor. And it was only when her grandmother was ill and she took her to the doctor, and there were 2 chairs in the doctor's surgery, and she brought her sick grandma in, and her grandmother sat on the floor. And she said, but, when they got home, why are you sitting on the floor? And grandma said to her, because all my life men have told me that this is my place. I'm never allowed to sit on a chair. And so she never sat on a chair.
Wow.
So she went to the doctor, and that was what changed Miriam, wasn't it? And that's when she became a feminist. And she stood up for women's rights in Africa.
Well, around the world, except in Africa, more women are graduating from university, which means they're going to be in the pipeline for positions of power. So I'm wondering what's happening with the boys. Why they're not speaking out in the same way that girls? I don't know. Do either of you have any ideas what the boys are doing?
I think older boys are speaking up as far in the climate strikes. From what we see, I mean, we know David Wicker. He's 14. He's one of the main people in Italy. We saw him last week in Rome. But I think because girls have led it as a forefront, and because I don't know, maybe that their social media presence is more. I know that there was once a lone striker in Russia who's 16, I think, or 17, and obviously he's a boy, but I don't know. I think it's just because girls seem to just be out there tweeting and going on Instagram much more. I think that's the that's the way of.
Yeah, the studies show the boys are playing video games.
Yeah.
And the girls are more likely to be on social media. That would be interesting.
Yes.
Lily, so what works if someone wants to make a difference and they want to save the planet? What tactics should they use? What makes people change or listen to what you're advocating, that we not ruin the planet?
Yes.
I would say for young people who want to become activists, I would say is never listen to the people who say, no, you can't do this, you're just a child. Never listen to them, or just don't even bother to read the comments, because you are worth it. You are the person who's going to save the world, and your voice is the most powerful thing on this planet, and you have to find your green heart to save the world, because no matter from what gender you are, no matter from which kind of part of the world you are, because you are a human and you can save the world.
And besides the groups, the organizations that we've mentioned, what other organizations do you think are really making a difference in terms of climate?
Who did we? There's Friday for Future. So else is there? Youth.
There's Youth for Climate.
They're also helping, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Who else do you work?
What is it? Youth for Climate?
Yes, Youth for Climate. That's another name for the for the climate strikers, shall we say? Youth for Climate is in UK. I think in Holland. I know there's School Strike for Climate in Australia. But there's and you help with Greenpeace are very helpful with activism. Sometimes they do workshops to sort of to show you how to be an activist. You work with World Wildlife Fund, don't you? Also Jane Goodall. What did Jane Goodall? Lily's seen Jane in a couple of weeks, and she wrote to Lily and said she was very proud of her.
Oh.
And so, and she said she'd like to see what Lily's going to do with what she's been doing. Mm-hmm. So Lily's going to be speaking with Jane on the 6th of December.
What an honor!
She's a lovely lady.
Yes, that's fantastic. So, is there any kind of coordinating way for all these different groups around the world to share information, or is there any kind of hub of information that's?
Well, there's lots of app groups. I think on Facebook there's like an organizing app. There's parent groups. You've got Medics for Future. You've even got Cyclists for Future. You've got Teachers for Future. I think if there's all sorts of groups that come together in order to support the children. I mean, Parents for Future is also a very, very good one.
And there's also Grandparents for Future.
Yeah, Grandparents for Future is also a good one. And they all come together to help to support the children. But if anybody wanted to align with something, I think if they went to the Friday for Futures group, you also have 350.org. That's also another one who do a lot of good work in.
That's the biggest in the States.
Yes. I think that would help. I mean, and if people want to know anything, they can always write to Lillys Plastic Pickup at gmail.com and with a question, and we'll try and help put them, because Lily was there at the very, very beginning. And although she's a sort of standalone and we support all of this, we also know different groups. I mean, my telephone, WhatsApp has got like 20 different Friday for Future groups on it. So I can. There's even a global rainforest chat. All of this. So I can possibly help put people in the, in the right direction of where they need to go. So that's no problem.
I did an ebook called Resist: Goals and Tactics for Change Makers. That's available on Amazon and other places. And one of the things that came up is a lot of times activist groups get burned out people stop being interested, or they get into contests who's the most pure, who has the best theory, and oh, you're not pure enough, so we're not going to work with you. And there's these kind of competitive philosophical one up, one down. I don't know. What have you found in terms of making people effectively work together?
It's because it's sort of that they have the same passion to save the planet, and also that
and that people sort of need to keep remembering that. I think sometimes with what you were saying with all these sort of semantics, that the goal sometimes gets lost. But I think also, you know, the organisation, and it's all volunteers who do this work. You know, and you always have the next global strike is the 29th of November, and then after that they're already looking to something in 2020. You know, we're even thinking about having a human chain in Holland, Belgium, and Germany. You know, thousands of people to hold hands. You know, to sort of for the planet. You know, there's all sorts of these little things, and it's all coming together. And I think everyone just has to try and stay positive and know that we're all working towards a common goal. And it's when you have conflict or people get tired because you put so much energy into this. I think it's also good that people sometimes have a little bit of a time out. You know, sometimes I see a lot of these activists, you know, 16, 17, you know, they're constantly busy. I know with Lilly, with, you know, interviews or television or, you know, other things, you know, sometimes you have to just give yourself a little bit of a switch off moment, because I think when it gets to be too much, that's when the conflict sort of comes into it. So that's my sort of advice.
Lily, what would you add in terms of how people who are activists can get along and not get competitive or critical or burned out?
It's just what my mum said is just to remember what the goal is, to save this planet, because we're all going to have to live on this planet together, and if we want to live on this planet together, we must fight for it. And just to keep in mind that that this planet is the only thing that we have to surviving in this galaxy. That this is the thing that has everything that we need, that has everything that we would like, that has everything.
To just be positive.
Yeah.
Stay positive.
Yeah.
And also talk to each other, because if you are from two different groups and you both think that you're going along two different lines, I think it's good to come together and just, you know, and just talk and be direct. Sometimes it's very difficult for people. As English people, we're not the best at being direct. Dutch people are very direct, but I think it's important, you know, that for any sort of conflict, you know, that you come together and you talk about things. So that's also
it's true for any relationship. You gotta talk it out.
Yes, absolutely.
Lily, do you think we're going to be able to turn around climate change? Are you an optimist or a pessimist?
I'm an optimist. It's because I believe that humanity will listen, and that we can change the future. I mean, that we can change our planet as long as we change the way that we are treating the planet. As long as we are, because this planet can survive as long as the way how we treat it. It's like how you treat a dog is because that's what the personality of the dog will be. And then if you treat this planet well, then it will be a nice planet. It will be a good planet. Yeah.
I get discouraged because of people like Bolsonaro and Trump don't even accept that it's a problem. I mean, so it's like, how can you solve a problem that you pretend doesn't even exist? It's like the emperor's new clothes, that story where the emperor's not wearing any clothes and everyone said, oh, it's such beautiful clothes, beautiful clothes. No, he's naked.
Yes,
so that's what discourages.
But I think it's also constant awareness. We have to keep spreading away and keep telling. I think people, they still think that the Amazon is, well, they don't realize the Amazon is still burning because it's not in the news, but the Amazon is still burning. Amazon Watch said, you know, we're going to get to a point soon that the Amazon is not going to be able to renew itself. The tipping point is going to come very, very soon, and that will be the point for us that it's going to be completely critical. So we need to do something now, and I think it's just keep spreading awareness of things. You know, Trump's time, well, I can't really be political about this sort of thing, But you know, I think you know the think that there will be a shift soon, because you can feel and you can see with the news, you know, what's happening in Australia now, what's happening in the Congo now. Do people know that the Congo is also on fire?
I didn't.
You know, California is on fire. You know, it's incredible what's happening. People, as long as people know, I think that's when the world will start to wake up. You know, we last climate strike, you know, the first one there was 1.2 million. It's then gone to more than 2. I think the last strike was maybe, I don't know, 5 million. You know, the world is waking up, and I think the media are also going to help us with this struggle.
Yeah, I think what I'm starting to realize is people are influenced by what they see, and fires are such a visual, powerful image. Or, you know, in one of the Paris climate meetings, they lined up thousands of shoes to represent the people who couldn't march, and those kind of visuals, photo ops, I think really impact people on an unconscious level.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And you know, and I'm here, you know, as a mother. You know, if my father was here as a grandparent, you know, he gave Lily his vote for the European election to give her voice, because she's been sitting for 65 weeks in front of the town hall asking for politicians to listen. So how else can you do that but with your vote? That's why in America it's so important that everybody gets out and everybody votes. It's like England and Brexit. You know, everybody has to register to vote. You know, I remember when I was young growing up, and there was this picture in my mind, I still see it now, of thousands of people in the freezing cold all night on a bridge in the Ukraine. They waited to vote because they wanted to change their world. And everyone has a right. It's the one great right that you have. You must not say, oh, I can't be bothered because, you know, I'm going to go out with my friends, or I'm going to go and do this. It's your future. You need to vote. Yes. So that's our big lesson, isn't it? Vote, everyone. But
typically young people have been least likely to vote. So that's what I hope, that people like you, Lily, will inspire young people to vote.
There was a sort of green wave with the European election, and the Pope saw Lily's campaign, and he's actually invited Lily and my father to go to visit him. So next April, he wrote a climate book called Laudato Si, and it's the 5th anniversary of this book next April. So this is when they will go and meet Pope Francis. This is you know, Antonio Guterres, he retweeted it. You know, Christina Figueres, she also did. You know, it was noticed everywhere. They were on Polish television, and apparently not a lot of people go out would vote in Poland, but the stats went to 52 or 53% voting. I was told. You know, it made a difference. So
yeah, it's huge. Lily, let's say 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what do you see yourself doing?
I would say speaking in more conferences and having more positive messages than negative, and I'd also see myself who has also studied things like art and the study of mythical creatures, and I have become an artist as well. And
what do you want to do with your art?
And what I wanted to do with my art, because I've now filmed about 14 sketchbooks in the time of summer of 2018 and now. And what I wanted to do with my art is sort of to inspire young people or people to embrace who they really are and who they want to become.
Do you have your sketchbook there?
Yes, we do.
You can go and get it.
Eleanor, this is great. I would really appreciate your help getting the word out about the book to other young women who you think should be in the book.
Yes, no, I will do. I think I have a few in mind which I can write to you.
Okay.
It's okay. What do you want to show?
Show us one of your mythical creatures.
What would you like to show? Mythical creature is. Should we show this?
There's
quick.
A lot.
Yes.
Of.
Well, this is a very nice one. Show you this one.
Wait, go back towards you. Oh, look at that. That's watercolor. Wow. Show us some
And
more.
and Lily's doing a series of creatures doing human things, and so she just did for my friend who loves dragonflies, for Wendy. She did a dragonfly pushing a shopping cart
And eating
and eating an orange.
and eating like a Cheeto clone.
Is that watercolor, Lily?
Yeah.
Yes.
Whoa, it's so difficult. You have to look. Can you see my shirt? I'm wearing a dragonfly.
Oh, wonderful. We love
Coincidence.
dragonflies. We love dragonflies. Dragonflies mean an awful lot. So this is our, there we go. Come sit down again.
Okay.
So, and this is for another friend of ours she loved Lily's wool. So Lily's just done her a wolf.
Yeah, but fruit themed.
Yeah, with a fruit themed wolf.
So what is the wolf doing in that picture?
Oh, it was, one of them was sleeping, one of them was just sitting down, one of them was running.
I see.
So this one is coconut themed, grape themed, mangosteen themed.
Fabulous. And it looks like they're all getting along very well.
Yeah.
Come sit down. It's okay, you can sit down. We can maybe do that, so that's okay. No, but so she's very much into her different types of things. We don't have a sleeping lion. There we go.
They're fabulous.
There's a cat with some long legs. Do you want to show the cat with long legs?
Oh. Oh, it's balancing everything.
Yes, it is. It's true.
Okay.
Those are wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lily, is there anything else that you would like to be in the book that you would like people to know about how to make change or why girls are so powerful now?
Well, there was one thing I wanted to mention about the state that the Earth is in, and I would say, true, there is also some chaos in the world, but there is also peace. So the world is kind of a tiny bit like a yin and yang. One bit is in peace, the other bit is in chaos, but both are the same, but are different. But still, they're all the same. Just like everything on the Earth, it's all one living thing that is still trying to survive. And about what you said about being negative about all of the things and people denying climate change, I would say that you can also think about all the good that is happening, about all of the protests, about all of the strikes, all of the children, all the people who are trying to fight for the planet. And it's just to think how much good they are doing to try and protect this planet. And also other good things that are spreading positivity, like people who are being artists, people who are being bakers, people who are reading Wings of Fire, or being the things that they want to be, is trying to, and I would say it's just to focus on the great things that have happened, focus on the great things that are happening now.
That's true.
I needed to hear that. Thank you. Because I live with Trump on the TV every day.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sometimes we don't have TV on. That's our way of of not doing it. So
Good. Eleanor, is there anything else that you would like to add?
I would just like to say that just support your child who's an activist. I think that's very, very important, that they feel secure in what they do, because it is a very, very important part of their existence. And I think to say, you can't do this, I don't want you to do it. Many people come to visit us on Lilly Strike who are grown-ups who say, oh, it's so nice to see that you support your child. I wish that my parents had supported me, because it stopped me from going on to do what I wanted to do with my life. So I think it's important, as far as you can, to always support your child, because that's my job.
Another one of your
thank you very much.
Another one of your good jobs.
And if anyone has any difficulties with anything like the social
You
media
always send them
issues,
messages.
please just you can always get in touch with us, and we'll always try and help. And give advice.
We'll give you positive tips.
Yeah, so that's no problem.
Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I've spoken to you, Gail.
Yes.
Have fun in Curacao.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you later.
Arigato gozaimasu.